Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is.
The new law is aimed at stopping investigations into possible election fraud.
How corrupt are we going to allow a governor and a legislature to be that they are now passing laws to stop people from finding fraud, to stop people from investigating election fraud? This is the most crazy thing I have ever seen.
And a new California election law focused on ballot security is drawing criticism from Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco. The White House is also responding after Governor Gavin Newsom raised concerns about possible election interference.
Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco and the White House are responding after California Governor Gavin Newsom signed a new election bill into law ahead of the state's June primary. Senate Bill 73 strengthens protections over ballot custody, restricts access to voter rolls and election equipment without a court order, and increases penalties for unlawfully removing ballots from election officials.
It goes in effect immediately upon my signature, number one. So in many ways, it addresses some of the anxieties around next Tuesday's election.
The bill follows a months-long dispute involving Bianco, who seized more than 650,000 ballots during a 2025 special election while investigating alleged vote count discrepancies in Riverside County. California Supreme Court later ordered him to halt the investigation. Bianco, who was also a candidate in the California governor's race, told Fox News the new law is aimed at stopping investigations into possible election fraud.
How corrupt are we going to allow a governor and a legislature to be that they are now passing laws to stop people from finding fraud, to stop people from investigating election fraud? This is the most crazy thing I have ever seen.
Bianco also questioned what he described as a discrepancy between ballots submitted and votes counted. He says his department investigated allegations that in the 2025 special election in the county, more than 611,000 ballots were submitted, but nearly 658,000 votes were counted.
Why would he not want those ballots counted? Why would not any rational person want those ballots counted to make sure that there is no election fraud? Because that's a major discrepancy. 46,000 votes discrepancy is massive.
Meanwhile, the White House rejected suggestions from Newsom and California Democrats that the Trump administration could interfere with elections. A White House spokesperson said President Trump supports fair election administration and denied allegations involving voter intimidation or ballot interference. According to the new California law, which is effective immediately, violators could face a $1,000 fine and up to 3 years in prison for knowingly taking custody of ballots or election materials without authorization.
Well, we're going to have a really fun show today because we're going to talk about election fraud. We're joined in the studio by the infamous Peter Boyles, and we have Lori, and I'm gonna say her name wrong, and she's gonna get mad at me, but it's Gimelshteyn. She's with the Colorado Parent Advocacy Network. Lori has been a longtime defender of children, so she's going to be on as well. I really want to talk to her about what's happening, the things that are happening on the ballot. They're going to be on the ballot in November that they're 80-20. Issues. These are issues about children. But before I bring Lori on, I want to, first of all, Peter, welcome to the show. You get to hang out with Lori too, which is going to be great. For those that don't know, Peter Boyles doesn't need an introduction. He's been in broadcast radio for 300 years.
I was a board op for Marconi.
Yeah.
I cleaned his calls up for him and put him on the air.
But he is an icon in the broadcast media world in Colorado, and we've got some interesting things we want to talk about. I asked him to come in because we're going to talk about reconciliation and some of the things of having differences of opinion and how that can lead to friendships that, frankly, I think will be forged for the rest of our lives. But when we talk about what just happened on election fraud, and this is, by the way, one of the things that came between me and Peter back in 2020 was, hey, show us the evidence, show us the evidence, show us the evidence. But when you pass laws that take away the ability for the average person to hold people in positions of power and trust accountable, you only do that if you're doing it in order to crush the ability to have free and fair elections. It goes against, it's antithetical to having someone have the ability to look under the hood for voter rolls. Now, the problem with this is we have this thing called HAVA. So you can't have a law in a state, California, Colorado, it doesn't matter where it is, where they don't get access to voter roll information that would lead back to an investigation on federal elections. In other words, if you're elected to Congress or you're elected to a federal office, in this case be the president, Senate, and the House, then those ballots have to follow a certain formula that is overseen by the Supremacy Clause. In other words, that the nation has a right to oversee those things. It also has a right to make sure that it regulates things related to free speech and the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. And yet these states have consistently used stolen elections in order to put themselves in a position where they can steal tax dollars, they can change laws, regulations, and really become an oppressive force on the people, not just in Colorado again, but across the country. And we've seen that it's all started with mail-in ballots and machines and things that have really hurt our effect. And it'll be really interesting to see what happens with the 3 initiatives in November, although I'm under good authority that President Trump is going to be pulling the trigger to make sure that mail-in ballots are not used in our elections in any state around the country by the November election. So what they do is, this in essence is what the cartels do. And, I think we have to get to a place where we start, as American people, standing up, not Democrats, Republicans, or independents, but let's stand on the side of what's right and walk away from team evil. What's going on in California has been happening for a long time. Same with Colorado, same with Washington, Oregon, Nevada, Virginia. We saw that we elected a CIA analyst as the governor over a activist and someone that's been working in politics, a black Republican in Virginia, and swiftly came in, turned things around, and again, another contested election where it was 51 to 49, 50.5 to 49.5. And that's just not what our country is built on. Our country is not a 50-50 country. So kind of let's talk about this second issue. Did you guys fall asleep in there? All right, well, do you want to move it up so I can see the cut too? There you go. Here, I want to play this. This is President Trump, and this just talks about what is going on. And this is going to affect Lori, by the way. They have 3 initiatives they got on the ballot. And if you have these stolen elections and you have the ability for them to hurt children, to cut off body parts and do harm, and it's not even a partisan issue. It's simply leave the kids alone, period. And don't promote and or protect pedophiles. It's pretty simple. But I want you to see this. It seems to me that Trump is the only one that's standing up and standing between us and these fraudulent elections. Go ahead and play it.
I gotta be honest, it seems to me that he's the only one standing between us and the complete loss of free and fair elections. I used to think that Trump was insane for suggesting that the 2020 election was stolen, and now I'm actually not so sure. Because these animals in California are not just changing election law, they're changing what elections actually are. And California is not the end of this story, it's the blueprint. And here's the thing. Everything we just walked through, that's the surface. That's the part that's documented, that's litigated, that's on the record and already legal. So no matter how nefarious or corrupt it may be, they made it legal. But here's what they didn't count on. They didn't count on us. They didn't count on this. The fact that 30 million Californians now have a roadmap. Not a rumor, not a conspiracy theory, but a documented, sourced, time-stamped account of exactly how this is done and exactly who did it. And you can't unknow this. And they can't unbuild what they built in the dark now that it's standing in the light. And the fight for California is the fight for the country, guys. And it starts with conversations like this one.
She was one of the people like Peter Boyles that said that the elections are free and fair. And Peter and I are going to talk about this because we've had this conversation. I said I'd sit down with him and I'd walk through all this stuff with him. We haven't done that yet. But what we have done is we've forged an amazing friendship. This is a video from Diane DeGette crying about Trump's new policies. Let's go ahead and play it.
Donald Trump is telling states they have to turn over your personal information. And if you don't, then he's going to stop you from getting a mail-in ballot. This is not election safety. It's pure and simple voter suppression. Colorado has had safe and fair elections for years, and we have all mail-in ballots. So your ballot should be arriving in the mail soon. Please send it in. Please exercise your rights as an American citizen and vote. And let's stop this blatant voter suppression.
It's not voter suppression. You can go stand in line. You have your vote on paper ballots, have it counted by hand. The fact that they're actually using this retarded statement to say that you can't have free and fair elections when it's transparent to the American people is fraudulent on its face. And what's more important is that we have selections that happen across the entire country, and it's affected every aspect of our lives because the governor in Colorado specifically appoints the judiciary. And these guys are letting people out 20, 30, 40, 50 times while putting people like Tina Peters in jail for 9.5 years. Let that sink in. And let it sink in more that there were 4 adequate reports that were written by experts on what happened in Mesa County related to the machines and the mail-in ballots specifically, and the fraudulent trusted build that they were going to put on the machines. They had it. They had it all. And they walked past that in order to convict her, not for anything related to elections, but for saying you used someone else's ID in order to actually get access to that machines. And I know you were running an investigation, but you should have done it by having just someone that was the actual person with the ID. She didn't even have, frankly, she didn't even have to have someone with an ID do it. She just has to say, hey, listen, I need this company to do it. And I'll just tell you what's happening. If you just want to look at how bad it is and how it degrades, you can look no further than what's happening for someone that's standing in front of an abortion mill. In other words, just standing there and speaking outside an abortion clinic about the fact that people have options. Go ahead and play it.
What do you need my information for?
It's going to be a disorderly conduct MCC violation, okay?
For what?
Okay, for what you just said out here in front of the store. What you just said out here in front of the store.
For what I said? Mm-hmm. So I didn't approach anybody.
Okay, I'm not going to go back and forth about all that.
But you're giving me a ticket for what I said.
It's for disorderly conduct.
For my words. So not for approaching, for my words.
Again, like I said, we can go over that in court if you want. I'm going to issue it out. I'll stand right here when it was.
But you're giving me a ticket for words.
Okay, yeah.
So there's no free speech and they can act and do what they want. This is what happens when you have a lawless society that doles out punishment. Not prosecution, but persecution, where they're above the law. He just said, yeah, I'm going to write you a ticket for disorderly conduct because I didn't like what you said. This is America, by the way. This isn't in England or one of these other places where mean words can land you in jail for 3 or 4 years. He's going to write him a ticket, and he's going to make sure he has to go through the process, and the punishment is the process. Even if they throw it out, the cop doesn't care. The cop just wants to make it inconvenient for him to actually speak his mind, because the cop is obviously above the law. And here's what it came down to. I put this post up and I said, treason, arrest, charge, convict, and hang. And it's directly related to what Diane DeGette said. And look, everyone gets mad at me for saying the truth. They get mad at me and they want to paint this picture. Joe's this, Joe's an anti-Semite, Joe's a racist. And none of that stuff ever sticks because it's not true. Then they find out about my history and they're like, oh, maybe we should probably be quiet about that. But it doesn't stop organizations from doing what the SPLC and what the ADL have done to hurt people, to bully them, because they want this radical agenda to continue to thrive in our existence. Well, we're going to talk today about what's happening on the ballot specifically. We have Peter that's going to join us. He's going to kind of get in the middle of it. He is the Miyagi of Denver radio. And Lori is a fearless fighter. She's a pathologist. Professionally, she has 2 decades of private practice experience as a speech-language pathologist. She's the founder and executive director of Colorado Parental Advocacy Network. Sorry, I don't know what's happening in there. Damon, are you okay, brother? Okay. She advocates that parents should remain in the primary authority in the children's lives, and she's had an immense amount of success. And to say that she is at the tip of the spear would be an understatement. She's been leading events and initiatives that have led to RERUN having an immense amount of success and working with these different organizations around the state. She literally is the glue. She's a cog to the wheel. So with that said, Peter, we're going to welcome Lori to the show.
Sure,
Lori.
cool, great.
Hey, Joe. Hey, Peter. Very nice to meet you, Peter.
Good to see you too. Thank you.
Thanks.
So you have 3 initiatives that are on the ballot to protect children.
Yeah, so in my role as board director for Protect Kids Colorado, I've been actively engaged in the ballot initiative process since we ran the first few back in 2024 when Aaron and I were both proponents on 2 initiatives that really started to mobilize the citizens here in Colorado. And, that's really the beauty of what we're working on with Protect Kids Colorado is we're educating citizens to get actively engaged in the public square. And remarkably, in this go-round, we secured all 3 of our Protect Kids Colorado ballot initiatives for the November ballot with an unprecedented 91% validity rating on our signatures across all 3. We turned in over 500,000 signatures thanks to our amazing volunteer network of circulators and churches that circulated the petitions, and over 1,700 notaries that notarized these petitions at no cost. So it was an incredible We the People movement. And we are really encouraging everybody. You do need to go out and vote. No matter what you think, go out and vote. Because if you don't go out and vote, then what's the purpose of fighting anything? So go out and vote. But we're super excited. And I'd love to also talk with you a little bit from a personal perspective in my role as former election commissioner in the city of Aurora. My term just ended in December after a 4-year term, and just kind of telling you a little bit of my story with just going over and walking through the Arapahoe election facility. And then, of course, we want to talk about all the great stuff that's happening with the Colorado Parent Advocacy Network, all of our legal actions that we facilitated, and most recently announced this week, the U.S. Department of Education Office of Civil Rights has announced they're formally investigating our 2 Title VI complaints against the Cherry Creek School District for racial discrimination.
So I want to play that because we have a video. This is CBS News, has a report on this Department of Education for the Cherry Creek School District. So I want to play it. It is 3 minutes, but I think that sets the stage for us. Peter, this is something you've been.
Yeah, I know about it.
When you talk about children, you've talked about this on your show many times. But I want to play this if we can. Let's go ahead and play the video.
The Trump administration just opening an investigation into Cherry Creek schools over a, quote, wide range of racial discrimination.
This is now the 3rd federal civil rights probe into a Denver metro school district in President Trump's 2nd term. It follows the ugly departure of 4 administrators since the start of the year, including the former superintendent and his wife, the chief human resources officer, the assistant superintendent, and a school board director.
Your reporter Gabriela Vidal joins us live outside Cherry Creek School District. And Gabby, these allegations are pretty disturbing.
Disturbing, and according to some parents in the Cherry Creek School District, it's been happening for several years now. And they issued several complaints to the U.S. Department of Education, one in February and one in June that they shared exclusively with us, that detail what they say is the district sponsoring racial discrimination that's affected both students and staff. The U.S. Department of Education now investigating the Cherry Creek School District for rampant racially discriminatory programming.
That should never be your child or family's experience in education.
Lori Gimelshteyn is the executive director of the group responsible for raising these complaints, the Colorado Parent Advocacy Network.
This is not just complaints coming in from white families. This is complaints coming in from teachers and families of every race, saying this is unbelievable what they're doing. This is unbelievable what they're forcing us to do.
Among the allegations, students and parents of color are being granted preferential treatment through a district committee called Voices of Color. And the district's training and program administered by teachers place an emphasis on dismantling whiteness and white supremacy.
My child in 8th grade had an assignment, why is your favorite hobby racist? And was given words that he had to use in the rubric, like anti-racist, segregationist, for an English honors assignment. It was just heartbreaking to see my little boy, who has friends of every color, start to see himself as a bad person. He genuinely believed that he was oppressing his friends because of what they were teaching him in school.
Well, that's not the way our school systems should be working.
Another parent believes the district should focus on education rather than divisive curriculum.
Those things to help our kids become critical thinkers. Reading, writing, and arithmetic. And it's literally that simple.
A spokesperson for the Cherry Creek School District responded to the investigation, saying, quote, "We strongly disagree with the characterization of district programming. The district has not yet received a copy of the complaint. Without the complaint, we are not in a position to respond further." And it's still unclear how long it will take for this investigation to conclude. But according to the parent I spoke to with the Colorado Parent Advocacy Network, she says it could probably take about several months, if not longer, to see an outcome. In Denver, Gabriela Vidal covering Colorado First.
Certainly something.
Well done.
Thank you. It's been a lot of work, a lot of investigation. Very, very grateful to the educators in the Cherry Creek School District that brought that information to the Colorado Parent Advocacy Network. We have an incident reporting tool on our website, and we have parents and educators and students that reach out to us to get help, to get advocacy support, to get the resources necessary. Very similar to what Pat Hogarty did a few years ago when he reached out to the Colorado Parent Advocacy Network, and we were able he knows how much work went into facilitating a lawsuit in his case. And he sat many hours here right next to me in my office as we put his case together, and very grateful to America First Legal for taking his case on, and very excited that he had oral arguments at the 10th Circuit just a few weeks ago. Looking forward to a favorable ruling in that case.
Peter, what do you think? What do you think of that?
This goes back. I mean, this isn't anything that started at Cherry Creek Schools a year ago or a year and a half ago. I'm some kind of an amateur historian, and if you understand what political correctness is social Marxism. And for anyone that doubts that, I would ask them to do some reading. There was something called the Frankfurt School. I don't know if you've ever read about the Frankfurt School, and they flee Nazi Germany in the middle part of the 1930s, and they come to Columbia University, and they bring with them, they are, in some cases they're Fabians, some cases they're Trotskyists, but they bring the whole school to Columbia, and that's why Columbia is really the hotbed of everything that happens as we speak. And it's spread out. And meantime, everybody needs to remember how African Americans and others were treated even in my lifetime. In the 40s, the 50s, when I got drafted, in Fort Gordon, Georgia, Tobacco Road goes in the main gate, and there's a bunch of kids from New York and Pittsburgh on the buses, and the signs are up. The United Klans of Georgia welcome you. Yeah. And so there was an attempt to become a leveler. Well, I think those were great attempts. I mean, I used to fight when I was a kid, and I went to Fort Myer Gymnasium in Washington, D.C., and the best fighter on our team was a African-American guy named Joe Pennywell. And we went to a diner to eat breakfast in the morning, and this is before John Kennedy was shot.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't serve him. And he went on to take second place in a big fight tournament. So I saw that stuff when I was a kid. I saw it growing up. When I went into the steel mill at 17 years old, at 18 I could join the union. Black men were not allowed in the union. So there was a compensation made, the Philadelphia Plan, Lyndon Johnson's Great Society. And what happened was people glommed onto this stuff, but undermining all of it comes this movement of, as I mentioned, political correctness it really is a social Marxism. And one of the tenets.
But how do you, Peter? How do you get to the point of what Lori's doing?
Well, she's doing it.
She's fighting against political incorrectness that they're putting something over top of and saying it's correct.
To understand an issue, you have to understand its roots. Where did it come from? What causes it? And so they're zealots, but they have a foot, a leg, if you would, in that world. That the United States is a bad place. That every Anglo guy or every Anglo woman is such and such and so and so, and they actually make careers out of it. And so they get into a place like Cherry Creek, which is really an affluent school district, and they were getting away with it until people popped off on them and said no. And there is this time now to say no. Enough is enough is enough. And that's not what they're looking for. They're looking to continue what the initially that came out of after the Second World War and into the 50s when I'm a boy and seeing all this stuff. And so now administrators, they promote themselves predicated on their personal beliefs. You can't do certain things in a public school. Look what's happened to boys playing in girls' sports. I mean, that's like unbelievably stupid. And,
yeah.
But you have to, at least I try to understand it as putting wings or putting legs on history and pushing it forward. What she's done and what one of your staffers has done has been stop. Enough. But the other part of it is, the other single part of this is the people only change in pain. And when it hurts enough, they'll change it. But there's a thing now that I really come to believe, and it's called the low information voter or the intolerant.
Yeah.
And those are two real forces in the state of Colorado, and real strong forces in the United States of America, strong forces in the media, strong forces in the Senate and the House, wherever you want to find it. What you've done is brilliant. I mean, but people are going to have to come out and vote. And
well, we haven't started talking about the election fraud stuff yet. We're still on the children, but Lori's has some experience on the election side too, which will be really, really nice to hear those. But I mean, Lori, you've been in this fight for how many years?
6.
Yeah, so
6 years. In 2020, like many other parents across the nation, that is when I realized that things were not what I had blind trust in the Cherry Creek School District I thought that my children were receiving a high quality merit-based education, and I quickly learned that my children were learning to view everything through the lens of race, and that they believed that they had white privilege and that they were oppressors and that they were fundamentally bad. And I actually started in 2020 around DEI. We came in, we learned actually about this very curriculum that we filed a complaint with the Department of Education Office of Civil Rights. And in the Biden administration, they weren't sympathetic to the fact that Title VI should apply to all Americans. And now, thankfully, we have an administration that believes that Title VI applies to all Americans, and that our children should not be forced to view themselves based on immutable characteristics like race or gender.
And remember where all of this is learned. When the Bolsheviks take over Russia, Soviet Union, Lenin's wife's name was Kapushka. And all she asked for was, give me the education. Give me the education process. The Führer knew it. The Japanese Shinto priests and generals knew it. You give me this kid when he's little, I'll give him back to you. And you're smiling because you know where I'm going with this. You give me this kid and I'll give him back to you. But he's mine. He'll be mine. He will always be mine. The church does it. It's done lots and lots of places. They know if they can get your kid and get your kids thinking, quote, right, they'll give you back your kid. Your kid will graduate from the 12th grade and by the 6th grade hates himself or hates the system. That's the target. It isn't so much Muffy and Buffy that go to Cherry Creek. It's what's the end game. And now some of these people are just what Lenin called useful idiots. They're not smart enough to know what game they're playing.
There's a lot of people doing this on purpose. I mean,
of course.
And I'm not even sure they believe it so much as they believe in the idea that they can capture the mind of young people.
Absolutely, and there's a payoff. I mean, this is so layered that the way I see the world, this isn't something that somebody that has an undergrad education from CSU really and is teaching English or social science really understands what they're doing, and when they do understand, it may be too late. That's my long-term view of this, but it's been done before, and with great success. I may say to you this isn't Mao's China is another great example. When there's a couple of great books, one called Fan Chen, which means turn around in Chinese. There's Red Star Over China, there's all those books. When they went into those villages, and those kids were illiterates. I mean, under Chiang and in the Second World War, they found, 12, 13, 14-year-old kids couldn't read or write. And the system went to work. And today, actually, you look at the Chinese and you think they're a very powerful nation in the world today. But they did it there was an indoctrination that came with it. It's very frightening, it's very complex, but it's historically accurate. And you're doing the good work. I mean, but it's going to take a whole bunch of people that don't think that Muffy and Buffy are getting a bad deal in Cherry Creek to join ranks.
Well, so Lori, I have to ask you this question. And 2020, I got involved in things. I mean, before that, I was like, politics could eat itself. I wouldn't care, right? I think that most people just wanted to life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. Just leave me alone, right? We want our kids to grow up. We want them to have better than we had it. But 2020, it didn't just wake us up. I assume it shook you. I assume it was literally shock, right? Because we never actually figured out how long they've been doing this, right? We just know that.
I mean, it's been a very long game, and it's definitely not a novel experience what's happening here in the West. And all of these strategies that they're deploying, that we're filing Title VI complaints and Title IX complaints, they're all strategies to do one thing, and that is to dismantle the American idea. And so we recognize and understand that. I don't know if everybody recognizes and understands it, but we do have an attack on our American values and our freedom and the values that we hold dear. And what they are doing by capturing the youth and focusing, getting children to see themselves not as individuals with character and merit, but as they're only seeing themselves through their identity. And there's so much identity curriculum brought into the school district that you have to recognize and understand that it's surrounding them all day long. And when you think, why do we have such high levels of extreme mental illness in our youth today? And I would argue it is the direct result of this type of instruction. Our children are not being encouraged to achieve things. They're lowering standards. In Cherry Creek, they eliminated the merit valedictorian for this year's seniors, and they said it was because it inflicts harm on other kids. This is a school district that is a destination district for families in Colorado. It's one of the nation's largest school districts. It has a reputation of being a district of merit, and they've completely eliminated academics out of their mission. And this district in 2019 actually committed to working on a new transition where it was a systemic racial equity transformation. And what they did in this transformation model was really require every new teacher and staff member that came into the district to participate in this divisive professional development that has been flagged by numerous civil rights organizations, including the Foundation Against Intolerance and Racism. And this is the class that Pat Hogarty was participating in. And what this class does is it teaches that America was founded on white supremacy, and it asserts that racism is the heart of every disparity in society and in our schools. And it requires people to see themselves as representatives of groups of oppressors or oppressed, and all depending on one thing, the color of their skin. And it's very interesting because they teach the teachers and the staff that their role in Cherry Creek School District is to identify race and disrupt the role and presence of a term they call whiteness, okay? And there's an actual slide in the professional development that they provide that gives examples of some aspects and assumptions of white culture in the United States. So basically what they're saying is these are characteristics of U.S. white people. And let me just share some of these with you guys, because this is very interesting. Things like being polite, respecting authority, being self-reliant, having rugged individualism, making sure that you work hard to achieve your goals, just have delaying gratification, planning for your future, not being a burden on society, and that Christianity is the norm and people value a two-parent household. And so what they're telling
those are seen as the negatives, not the positive. I just want everybody to understand.
Those are negatives.
Those are the negatives.
These are the things that they want to disrupt the role and presence of in the school district. And by doing that, what they're doing is they're creating this group of people who now feel just like guilty. Oh my gosh, what am I doing? I've witnessed it in front of me. I've seen my children suffer from this. It's all being weaponized, and they're being programmed to think that they're bad. And these are not bad characteristics. These, I would argue, are characteristics of successful Americans. And I think it's ludicrous. And I can't think of anything more racist than to say that these characteristics are white people. Like, I know so many white people that don't do any of those things, and I know so many people of other races that do these things. So it just makes no sense. It's ludicrous. But what happens is they weaponize people's kindness, and they weaponize their empathy, and it's just brainwashing. And there's people in the district that genuinely believe this. They do believe this. I've met with them. I've had conversations with them. And they feel guilty. They feel bad. And then there's people in the district administrators, Board of Education in Cherry Creek School District, and many other schools in the state of Colorado. I want to be very clear. Cherry Creek School District is not the only school district we're investigating. It just happens to be the first school district that the U.S. Department of Education said we're going to open a civil rights complaint for Title VI, race-based discrimination. It is happening in pretty much every county in the state of Colorado. And so when you recognize and understand that there are groups of district administrators, boards of education that know what they're doing, and they're doing it to line their pockets, and they're doing it on the backs of children, innocent, vulnerable children, I have no grace in that arena. None.
Remember that the epicenter of Marxism is class struggle. what they have, you're smiling. This is an example of class struggle. I contend, and I think we've had this conversation, the face of the Democratic Party of the United States of America is the mayor of New York. He has become the face of the Democratic Party. He's a self-proclaimed socialist, Trotskyist. He is foreign-born, everything that goes with that. But I wrote a column about it, and I thought it was unique that on the day Dick Cheney died, and I'm no Dick Cheney fan, the day that Dick Cheney died, he's elected in New York. And why was he elected? Well, if you look at the election demos, with respect, it wasn't stolen.
It was stolen.
Okay, but it were young Democrats, young white men, young black men, young green men who have been raised in the tradition that Lori's talking about for this guy. And by the way, the other candidate was probably as bad, if not worse. But the point of it was this guy who couldn't have been dog catcher 20 years ago, 25 years ago, becomes the mayor. Wall Street, the epicenter of the financial universe, is where this guy, a socialist activist, becomes mayor. That's significant. And that makes your case, I think, almost more than anything else, that the country, and there's some people running for office here in town that are, they don't know they're Trotskyists, but they're socialist workers party people. Yeah.
They know.
I'm not sure, you know what? I've sat and talked, I'll tell you, when Obama was here and everybody wanted to embed into hotel rooms and talk to some Kennedy people. And I wanted to go be with the protesters. And we took the radio show into the park right by the whole thing. And there was a sign up, and it said it was a co-op of these people who, in and of themselves, cannot be cooperative. They are just. And I went over there, and I said, this guy, he was like the lead guy, had the shirt on. I said, so you guys are Bakuninists? And the guy said, what? And I said, the father of your movement, Bakunin. And he went, who was Bakunin? And they had a co-op of anarchists. Anarchists can't be they just can't be, and they're anarchists, for Christ's sake. These people are in a co-op, and that's when I decided all they're doing, these people, not the masterminds, but these people, they're waving a flag and they're getting chesty about it. But
it's real damage. I mean,
of course it is.
We still have to count we have to count the consequences, and you could say that the elections are free and fair. I'm a system architect. I will tell you they're not free and fair, which I think, Lori, I'm going to ask your opinion on that in a minute. But at the end of the day, our job is to protect our children and give them a better life than what we had.
Absolutely.
And these schools they got rid of the valedictorian because it was a measurement that we could see. Like, we could see the measurement, and they're like, you know what? They were failing these students so badly over the last decade because of these socialist engineering.
Ask her how empty Denver public schools are and how many people have taken their kids into private schools.
They closed 10 schools.
Absolutely, and greater across the state because I'm a grandfather and I love my grandson. He's a hell of a kid, but private school is a place where it used to be private school was the home of the elite. It's no longer. It's the working people of the country. Religious people are putting their children where they want them to be. And, one of two things is going to happen. They're going to shut them out altogether, or they're going to wake up. And my best guess is they're not going to wake up. They're so ingrained. And I've been around these people. I mean, I'm around them a lot. And they're adamant. But they don't know their own history, and let me say that. They don't, and they don't know where they're headed. And
Lori,
it's not a good place.
Yeah, there's definitely a mass exodus out of the public schools, but certainly not enough. When you have a district that, when I started in Cherry Creek School District, my children started in preschool here, or kindergarten, And at the time, there was about 57,000 students in the Cherry Creek School District. And then since 2020, that enrollment has declined to what the district portrays publicly on their website is about 53,000 students. But when you dig into the actual financials of the district, it's actually closer to 48,000.
I believe that.
So, that's a tremendous number of families pulling their children out of districts. But quite honestly, we don't have the infrastructure in the private school or the charter school arena. And now charter schools, as public schools, fall under the same requirements that our Democrat Socialists of America up at the Capitol, who pretend to have the Democrat name, but they're not Democrats, they're socialists, have passed legislation.
The Democratic Party in America has become an SWP. It's become a Socialist Workers' Party. And, they can do what they want to do, say what they want to say, but I'm a reader and a listener and a watcher. And no, I mean, New York, that was a trial horse, man. And this guy comes in and promising everything, and on the backs of what? Other people's money. And what did Margaret Thatcher say? It works till you run out of other people's money. Watch what happens. It's
going to happen here too, especially if this ballot initiative passes for the graduated income tax.
Agreed again.
Right now we've got a flat income tax, and if it goes to a graduated income tax, I can guarantee you everyone making over $2 million is getting the heck out of Dodge. They're going to lose their wallet. They're going to lose that money that they're promising.
I've lost more friends, great friends. We're still great friends, but they've bailed. And I have a friend of mine, Alan Sam, who owns Machine Gun Tours. He's taken the whole thing lock, stock, and barrel, and they're leaving town. So,
yeah, I mean, it's affecting, we talk about the mass exodus, but you have this mass exodus while they just increased administrative costs and administrators' costs by 15, 18, 20%.
Sure.
Like the new budget, it was 15.4% that they increased administrative costs in education. So how do you actually lose, because now it's over 20%, it's 21.2, 21.7 of kids that are enrolled now are in homeschool and or secondary schools. Right?
40% of downtown Denver is empty. And
I would argue that property is empty in Denver as well. They were just reporting this morning, that they have so many homes on the market. There's a reason for that. It's not because people want to leave Colorado. It's because these cities are radically woke.
What does this mayor and these geniuses do? Well, we'll put homeless people in there.
Yeah, but hold on a second. I mean, you can't get to look. I spend a lot of time talking to Democrats, right? I mean, I believe that I can understand the psyche of what's really happening if I can have conversations in my community with people who are on the left that say that they are liberal, right? And so I don't spend my time talking to conservatives because, frankly, other than Lori and Aaron, and by the way, I just want to tell you, Patrick is probably one of my favorite people ever.
Can I have your water?
You want a water?
Can I have your water?
You want water?
Yeah, thanks. I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm dying up here.
So Patrick is one of my favorite people, and the fact that he stood up and did what he did, and the fact that you were able to help him get to the place where he could have accountability, it warms my heart. And the fact that he was able to do what they did with, as far as being able to do oral arguments, and what I heard was, if they don't rule in his favor, I can't even imagine that I could have any respect for the judiciary at that point, right? Which I don't have much anyway, just so we're clear. But you can't get to this place where you have 20%. It went from 1.7% to over 21% of kids that left schools. Parents are like, I'm done. That does not align with the voting. And if you talk to Democrats, they feel left behind too. It's not just Republicans and conservatives. I cannot have a conversation with a Democrat that doesn't tell me these people are absurd. And they're talking about Title IX. They're talking about, all the things that you're fighting for. And this is, Lori, I want to cover this part. You didn't just get a 91% acceptance rate on signatures. You did it in record time. You broke every record.
We broke the entire system. The ballot initiative system was broken. Everybody told us, you can't do it. You can't do it without $2 million per initiative.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Did you hate school?
Me? No, I loved it.
I hated it.
I hated the school part, but I loved girls and sports.
That's
so.
Better yet.
And you really don't need school to have those things, right?
No,
I was going to say.
Back in the day, you did though.
Did you learn anything?
Did I learn anything
other than how to survive?
Miss Bradley, man. If it wasn't for her, she was a teacher that changed my life. Frankly,
one.
I had a couple teachers.
Okay.
But
I hated school.
I mean,
I didn't learn anything.
I love learning, right? So I still, to this day, I take classes. Right? Even though some of the professors are semi, on the spectrum of not being.
I always knew how to read, and reading saved my life. I hated school. I couldn't wait to. I'd have quit if it wasn't for my father and mother. I thought that was stupid. And I went to work in a steel mill 3 days after I graduated from high school. What did I know? Nothing. But that was Pittsburgh Public Schools. And I'm sure there were kids that learned stuff, but you grew up even worse than I did.
Yeah.
I mean, that's hard to believe, but it's true. And did you really learn stuff?
So I'm just going to tell you, my generation, Lori, your generation, we thought we solved racism.
Right.
We solved.
We didn't.
Right?
I didn't experience it. It wasn't until 2020 when race became the topic of everything that what?
You're like,
2020. Haven't we been working on this and being successful? It's funny. I was just actually reading some of the curriculum that we uncovered. We had some class assignments that we were looking at, and from my son when he was in 8th grade. He's doing great. He's a freshman at Purdue University studying electrical engineering, and he went through the International Baccalaureate program at Cherokee Trail High School, which is one of the 8 high schools in Cherry Creek. And I will give so many accolades to the teachers in the International Baccalaureate program because they're awesome, and they don't deal with this. They don't dabble in it, but it's the teachers in the general education classroom that are required to teach this. They have equity officers in every school to ensure that the teachers are doing the work of the Office of Equity, Culture, and Community Engagement, which is another crazy BS term that used to be the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. But when that topic got too hot, they changed the name. So they rebrand everything. And when my son was in 8th grade, he had an assignment in his English Language Arts honors class, and it was the title was, Why is your favorite hobby racist? And he came home and he asked me for some help on this assignment. And I sat down at his desk and I was reading through the rubric, and he had to use terms like anti-racist, segregationist, white privilege. So they're feeding him all these labels. And so instead of asking the question, is your favorite hobby racist? They're priming him, why is your favorite hobby racist?
Well,
and
what's a racist hobby?
So it's fascinating because back in 2020, they weren't quite smart enough to lock down Google Classroom. So we were able to see all the assignments that students turned in.
But what's a racist hobby?
Well, let me tell you about it.
Right.
It's very interesting. So again, students don't think these hobbies are racist. They're doing an assignment that their teacher's telling them to do, and the teacher is framing and priming the assignment, specifically, why is your favorite hobby racist? You need to use these words, racist against people of color, to get full points, okay? So now they're going to, especially someone like my son.
The grade depends on it. The grade depends.
Yes, someone like my son is going to do it. And I actually said to Chris, I said, you're going to get an F on this paper before you lie. And he looked at me and he went, you don't understand, Mom. I have to think one way at home and another way at school. And I just about lost my mind. And we ended up, long story short, they were responsible to create a charitable organization that fought racism in their favorite hobby. So Chris's favorite hobby is skiing. So he was doing eliminating racism in skiing. And he had started an organization, guys, called LIFT. to fight racism in skiing and make sure people of color get to the mountains. And I just was floored. And, you know, but it was really challenging because my son, and this is at the beginning, I didn't know how indoctrinated he was because I wasn't engaged like I was in 2020, because I would be in my office like I am right now, and I would hear something on his computer that I would go in and slide down the wall so that I couldn't be seen, just to overhear what the teachers were saying. And at the time I thought, my gosh, we must just have an activist teacher. I mean, think about it. 2020, 2021, we've got George Floyd, Biden, Trump, masks, vaccines, you know, COVID. It was just a chaotic time. And I'm thinking we just have an activist teacher. And if I just go talk to the teacher or the principal and let them know that what they're doing is not appropriate, especially for children that young, I thought that would work. It didn't. And I went to the principal and she agreed with this. And then I went to my first school board meeting and brought up this curriculum that we flagged to the U.S. Department of Education that they're now investigating. And I spoke to Christopher Smith, who was the superintendent that was recently just kind of let go. And lots of money still lining his pockets. His wife is also terminated. And I realized, I came home and I said to my husband, I'm like, Max, we are in so much trouble. This is so much worse than I thought. And I got my kids, I really felt like I had my kids to safety. We pulled our youngest out of Cherry Creek, put her into a charter school. She's now in private school, and we're actually looking to homeschool for her senior year. And, you know, my son was in a program where I knew the teachers, I knew they didn't believe in this, and that he was going to get a quality education. But it was a long battle to really kind of deprogram our son. Our daughter was young enough that she hadn't really started getting it. It was really that middle school year in 2021 where they just ramped up this radical, divisive ideology where they're having our children talk about their sexuality and their gender and their politics, and it's just unbelievable. But
how was skiing? How was skiing racist?
It isn't, Peter.
No, I'm saying that. But how can they make? I mean, I know you can bend.
I'm going to give you an example.
All right.
So I was reading through them today, and there was one. It was Running for Race. That was the title of the nonprofit organization that this student made. And, you know, this student was just doing what the student was told to do. But they were like, running has always been associated with white culture and whitewashing, and people of color are too embarrassed to run. And we need to make sure they have a safe space to run because it's inappropriate for this to be a white sport only.
Has anybody ever met Usain Bolt?
I was going to say.
One of them was equal football. And they literally said in 1997, Black football players were not allowed to play football because of racism, and that they needed to create a safe space for Black football players. So
and that's in high school, or are they in the pros or college or?
It's not true. It's a lie.
Peter?
No.
It's a lie. Yeah, I mean,
want to see how they frame it.
1997 Sports Illustrated's got like, you know, a cover of, you know, several wonderful NFL players of all different races, and there was even one on racism in knitting.
So this is the problem, and I want to be really, so the problem with what they're doing is it's based on a lie. It's based on, and the human mind, when you are brainwashing someone, when you are putting stuff in their brain that's not true, it comes into conflict with itself, which is ultimately what you have to have in order to be able to get to these gender dysphorias and all the things that are happening.
A regression analysis. It's not a lie. What did George Costanza say? It's not a lie, Jerry, if I believe it. It goes back to.
But they didn't believe it. They just knew they had to live one way at home and one way in the world.
But
it becomes, guys, is this concept of my truth.
My truth.
Well, my truth is the best.
There's only one truth.
That's my favorite. My truth.
I can't figure out where I am on the screen. There is one truth, and everything else is an opinion. There is no such thing as my truth. But this is what the schools are teaching our children, and they believe it, and the adults believe it.
But once again, broken record. Go back to the stuff I talked about earlier on. And you can see the chronicle. You can see how it advances. You can see the provenance to it. And now we're down to this. And as long as you have, remember, the centerpiece of Marxism is class struggle. And so as long as you can present that, and then you have, the true believers, and you have the, and it really does.
The cancer's gotten too deep.
But it's not
Peter,
a lie.
it's gotten too deep.
It's not a lie. That's the point of it. It's a lie.
Hope, guys.
But
I have hope. I've seen the culture shift in Colorado so dramatically in the last 6 years that I think the Overton window has shifted enough. This is what I think. I don't think Colorado is a blue state.
It's not.
I think Colorado has a radically blue legislature and radically blue boards and commissions, but we, the people, are normal. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat, Republican, unaffiliated, atheist, Christian, Jew, whatever you want to say.
If there was ever
we, the people, are normal.
If there was ever a time for a Republican governor, it's now. Except, where's the Republican governor candidate?
Scott Bottoms.
I'm really.
No, he's not.
I'm really focusing, and this is not from CPAN's perspective or PKC. This is my own personal Lori Gimelshteyn's opinion. I think we need to focus on winning seats in the House and in the Senate. I think that there's about 5 House district seats that are vulnerable that we can win, and I think there's about 4 Senate seats that we can win.
But they're not going to get the big chair. I mean, don't.
Hey, listen to me.
I'm listening.
I think you're wrong, but okay, keep going.
All right.
I'm going to give my opinion on that too. Again, I could be totally wrong. I will support whoever comes through the Republican primary. I will support them, and I will do everything in my power.
Victor Marx?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that is the person. I'm not going to say who my person is. But at the end of the day, Michael Bennet and Phil Weiser are way worse, and we have more influence over all 3 of those Republican candidates.
I'm not talking about bad or good. I'm talking about winnable. I mean, elections are won in the middle.
I agree with you, Peter. I don't think it's a winnable seat. And the reason why I don't think it's a winnable seat is because Republicans don't give, and they can't fundraise. We now have, 3 Republican candidates splitting up the donor dollars. No, because what's going to happen? You know what's going to happen the day after the primary? The Democrats are going to come out with a $10 million advertisement, just blowing up whoever the candidate is, and it's going to be based on feelings, not facts, and people are going to fall for it.
No, listen. I need to say this, just so you know.
All right.
I just want both of you to know, the reason why Lori is so successful is she doesn't care about the R's or the D's or the I's. She cares about the principle that she's fighting for, which is the children. We don't spend any time talking to Democrats or independents. And if you want to win races, conservatives have to hold their nose, vote for the R's, period. And we have to have a conversation with Democrats and independents on why society, why their communities, everything will be better for them, and we will not betray them, because Democrats have been betraying them forever. And so, and by the way, I ran for state chair. I didn't know the game. I didn't know it was won on proxies and you can hide things under the seat cover. I didn't know that game. Now I know the game. I know the game.
I thought you were going to win. I truly did.
It was a fixed race.
I told people I knew in the talk radio business, and get down on your hands and knees, pray to God that Oltmann wins.
And listen, but I raised, Lori, $2.7 million was committed. The day before I went to the deal, I met with another group of people at a country club, and I was like, "Give me your money." I was like, "You want to fix things? I need money. I need to raise $10 to $15 million." I still believe, and this is the problem with the Republican Party leadership. They walked past. They haven't raised $1. And I had a conversation with someone who said he's the heir apparent of the Republican Party. He's the guy. He's like the Godfather, right? And he was talking about Douglas County. He's like, Douglas County is the greatest. It's the greatest GOP in the world.
Watch.
I go, how much money do they have? He goes, wait, what? I was like, they got zero. Goose egg.
Watch what happens.
Nobody gives them money because they're a joke.
Yep.
They're a joke. But the people are not a joke. And if you can show them a path.
We don't necessarily need the GOP because we're getting stuff done. And we're doing it effectively. And I think that if people want to put their money somewhere that could actually win, I think the winning strategy and why people are watching Colorado right now is because of the Protect Kids Colorado initiatives. And we did that without a single dollar. And if that is the winning strategy, and if candidates align themselves with those PKC initiatives, they're going to get votes. They're going to get votes from unaffiliated, they're going to get votes from Democrats, and they're going to get votes from Republicans. Because let me tell you, our circulators were a mixed bag. And we had so many Democrats. And the same with Colorado Parent Advocacy Network. I think it's so funny that we're tagged in the media as this like right-wing experience, crazy.
But again, having been in this business almost 50 years in the media, we are so diminished. Television, Nielsen's, radio, Nielsen's, there are no more newspaper circulation numbers. Look, stuff like this is far more important than what happens on Channel 4. And now they're all trying to come together, and they'll get together. Fox, 2, 9, you've seen this conglomeration that's coming, presenting one newscast. Technology, they're like radio and television happened. It's over, and they don't know it yet. They do know it. That's why these guys are getting fired and shot down. And it's the old principle, dead tree newspapers and television networks and radio stations. I'm watching them die.
Wait a minute. You guys need to know this. Lori, just so you know, that $2.7 million did not die on a vine, and neither did the $10 to $15 million. And I plan on using every tool that I have at cost in order to be able to run. Because here's the other part in running ads and doing all that stuff, is there's so much grifting in the middle that it diminishes the value of that. So a $10 to $15 million is like having $70 to $80 million in the bank. Using the stuff that I have, which is at wholesale, right? And I reach 8 million people a month. I go through all the stuff that I go through. So here's what I'm telling you, Lori, and I want to be able to say on the show. We're going to not only commit to the 3 initiatives, right? We're going to commit to it, and I'm going to build an IEC, and I'm going to make sure that all of those dollars.
Don't talk to me about it. Don't talk to me about that.
I can't talk to you about it. I'm allowed to.
No.
Remember
I'm
this.
on the board of Protect Kids Colorado, so I think it's great. We've got a really wonderful resources page on Protect Kids Colorado with all of the materials for people to talk with their friends and their neighbors. We're telling everybody, tell 10 people and ask them to tell 10 people why you're voting yes, yes, yes to protect kids this November on all 3 Protect Kids Colorado initiatives, and tell them why it's so important to you.
I got a deal.
Let me hear it, Peter.
Do my radio show in 2 weeks on a Saturday. I'll have you on the show. Okay?
I'd love to.
All right. And remember this. This is from reading history. When enough people move in one direction, some politician will run out and pretend he's leading them. I mean,
Lauren Boebert.
Oh, yes. I can tell you, I have witnessed grift in such a way that I never thought was possible. I was told, Aaron and I were told at the beginning of this ballot initiative process, first they're going to try to kill it, then they're going to try to steal it, and then they're going to try to take credit for it.
Oh, yeah.
And,
one of the guys in the state race for chair, he's like, we went and did all this stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, I looked over at Aaron, and Aaron's like this. And actually, it wasn't Aaron. It was the people that were there that were part of Protect Kids Colorado. And they were like, that's not true.
Does he have your info? Does Joe have your info that we can get the two of you on the show?
Well, we might have to look at dates, Peter, because I'm going to be visiting my parents on that weekend of the 20th.
We have time between now and then, and I get you guys in the studio.
I appreciate that so much. I really appreciate the opportunity.
No, you're doing the right thing. I mean, the right thing. Spike Lee said, "Do the right thing,"
And we're doing the right thing at PKC, and we're doing the right thing at CPAN. We have facilitated 5 legal actions in the last 24 months, including Pat's case. I'm a plaintiff along with Aaron Lee on behalf of both of our organizations, along with Dr. Travis Morrell and Do No Harm in Defending It against that radical bill House Bill 251312, deceptively titled Legal Protections for Transgender Individuals, which what that bill is, slap some tape on your mouth and stop using biological pronouns and birth names, or you're going to go to prison and have to pay $5,000 every time you do that. And my speech is limited. I had to cancel our third part of our Rocky Mountain Summit on safeguarding children from gender-affirming treatment because I was too afraid that our panelists would be punished by speaking the truth. And so we're suing Phil Weiser and we're suing the Office of Civil Rights in the state of Colorado. And I'm very hopeful that we're going to have a good ruling in our favor. Of course, we're going to have to go through the district courts, really weaponized. We're going to have to be at the Court of Appeals. And hopefully
you find a Saturday, and I'll have both of you in the studio, and we'll see what they say then. It's like, I love stuff like this, by the way. I mean, I live for stuff like this, so I'm your guy.
We need to be very hopeful in the state of Colorado. Don't leave Colorado. No matter what you think about election integrity, get out and vote. Get out and vote. Just please vote. Just get out and vote. And don't put it in your mailbox. And I think, I'm not sure if you guys want to talk about election integrity, but
no, I got my ballot. My ballot came yesterday. The primary
I haven't even received a notification that my ballot has been released.
I got a text that's coming. It came, and And
my husband got one. I didn't get one. I'm still waiting patiently.
You'll get it. I mean, but maybe this weekend I'll open it up and hold my nose and do something. But no, I mean.
Well, I do know who I'm voting for, and I'm, thinking a little bit of strategy here. What can we do realistically, and who has the best way of beating.
No, you're great. This is the first time I've seen you, and you're great, and you're the kind of person I like to have radio shows with, and we'll get after it.
You're not me,
that
so you won't
great,
get
Peter.
kicked off.
So
he's not allowed in the building. So.
I do want to also share a couple other things that CPAN has done. So we've also facilitated a lawsuit against the Brighton School District, 27J School District, with the Center for American Liberty. So that's Harmy Dillon's law firm. And we reached out to them in regards to House Bill 1039, non-legal name changes that was signed into law by Governor Polis back in 2024 that makes that process of changing your child's gender and concealing it from you legal. So we've known for years that this was happening in schools. When my daughter was in 6th grade, she came home and she shared with us that her friend Stella was now going to be River, and River was going to use he, his, him pronouns and use the boys' room. And I didn't know what she was talking about. Okay, this is 2020, before the transgender craze and explosion. And as a speech pathologist, which is my actual profession, and I oftentimes am called into classrooms to do workshops, to work with children that might have a peer that might be on the autism spectrum, to help them learn how to communicate successfully. So I kind of made this kind of just innocent comment of, wow, that's really progressive of River's parents asked the school to do a workshop. And my daughter looked right at me and she said, "Oh no, Mommy, River goes home every day as a girl. His parents have no idea." And my mind was just blown and I couldn't believe it. And then we used the power of the Colorado Open Records Act and we did all this quarrying of the school district. And we actually found email communications from district leaders, advising teachers not to, quote, out the student who is in distress about their gender. We found the actual document that they use called the Gender Support Transition Plan.
That's the
and
model.
on the very first, on the first page, it says, if the parents are not supportive, how are we going to keep it, how are we going to conceal this from them? And they don't change the child's legal name in Power School, but they have a whole separate system of documenting, information that's protected by the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. But this kid was not only psychosocially transitioned at school at the age of 13, name, pronoun, and facilities of the opposite sex. They gave her a chest binder, so a medical intervention to bind her perfectly healthy
What has
breasts.
happened to River? Where is River today?
Well, River would be going into senior year. Yeah. And from my understanding, River has transitioned to different things multiple times.
Okay.
So, but
now is a cat. Is River a cat now?
So, here's the thing, guys. My kid was like really terrified that she was going to wake up a boy. And we had to really spend a lot of time walking her through that couldn't happen. And, we're telling her, no, that doesn't happen, but she's watching it happen. She's watching her friends change from a girl to a boy, and in a young, vulnerable, developing mind that cognitively can't wrap their head around this. It's real. It's real. And that's why they're doing this. And they're telling children that their parents won't understand. Yeah. And, we did have oral arguments.
How is this sickness, Lori, how is this sickness? How are these people that this is grooming, by the way. Let's call it what it is. It's grooming. How is it that and look, people don't like the fact that nobody did this to my children because, frankly, I would have yanked them out by their neck, right? But and I'm built different. I grew up that way. So, like,
how do we settle this?
You said that about my son? Okay, come over here for a minute. You and I are going to go outside and talk, right? But how is it the parents aren't doing that? This is your pride and joy. This is a lot
of people are captured by this. It's not just grooming of the young, vulnerable mind. It's a grooming of the adult mind. I see it every day on social media, and it's very interesting to me. And people can't really defend their argument. Everything's based on feelings, not facts. There's no cognitive discussion. It's just trans rights are human rights. What does that even mean, right?
Nothing.
There's so many crazy radical things and phrases. It's the weaponization of language that is destroying this country.
But if I can control the language, then it goes back to Lenin's wife or whoever it is. I control the language. I can control what's said, and all of this stuff is historically been enacted and been very efficient, by the way, and been effective. And
I'm just trying to figure out how people could be that retarded. Sorry for that.
Ask the other people.
Well, I think, the hard part is that while we were watching, these systems play out in other countries, in just having this belief in the American idea, that we never were really watching the back door. We were never watching them come into the country and infiltrate our institutions, infiltrate our churches, infiltrate healthcare, infiltrate education, infiltrate the courts, infiltrate child protective services. They are everywhere. And they've weaponized people's empathy. And that's the key thing. What you said, how can people be so stupid? They're playing on people's emotions. And Gad Saad actually wrote a really good book called Suicidal Empathy that really speaks to this. And it's hilarious because he definitely is in our camp, and he really makes some really fun comments. But that's the piece, and that's the piece I want people to understand, is that it's okay to give somebody a hand out of this hole, because what's happening are people are digging the hole deeper because they've made this mistake. And they were duped. And I think that because of all the information that we have now, we have the Health and Human Services report, we've got the CAS report, we've got the WPATH files. We know this is harmful. European countries have stopped, doing gender affirming treatments on children. And the United States is still doing it. Why? Because it's profitable. And I'll tell you what, when the Colorado True Center for Gender Diversity shut down back at the beginning of the Trump administration when the executive order came out. They shut down because money stopped flowing to them, right? Here's the question. If gender-affirming treatment is truly life-saving, shouldn't they have continued it anyways without the money?
Right.
Sure.
But they didn't, because it's BS argument. They're harming children for profit. And over 95% of children with true gender dysphoria outgrow it by going through puberty. The cure is puberty. And I can't think of anything more harmful or anti-gay to tell a child that they were born wrong.
No, I've written columns about the day that I started liking girls. I never had a choice. People talk about your choice date. I didn't have one. Did you have a choice date?
No, dude, I liked girls when I was like 8.
I was
just different. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I was normal. I think I was normal.
No, that's just it. I remember I was playing baseball with a bunch of older guys, and I could throw the ball pretty hard when I was a kid, and that was about it. And there was a girl that came, and guys got to kiss her behind the backstop when the sun went down. I didn't want to kiss the second baseman. I wanted to kiss her. And that was the day that the music started. And
how old were you?
13 maybe, 13 playing ball. But
I have my first girlfriend at 12, first kiss, first time I touched boobies. 12 years old.
Too much information for me.
No, but
come on, I'm 50 years old. I mean, it's not like it's so long ago.
It just kicks in. But I want to make a point that when
Put the comments up,
and I'm reading quite a bit now about the Frankfurt School and how they came to Columbia. But in the middle of all this came a guy by the name of Herbert Marcuse that probably nobody knows his name. Marcuse goes, do you good? Then Marcuse goes to Brandeis.
Paulo Freire, yeah.
Yes,
I know
absolutely.
them all.
Okay, well, who does he principally influence at Brandeis? Angela Davis. Angela Davis was principally inoculated, if that's the right word, but she's living in this world, and she is a very powerful person in the 60s and 70s. And she was inoculated by Herbert Marcuse, who comes aboard to Columbia in the 30s. And I am so convinced now that when these people come and they're welcomed to Columbia, and even today, what is the most radical of the Ivy League schools? It's Columbia. I mean, the rest of them are all heavily, influenced. But
well, it's the CIA school. Berkeley,
Yale.
And yeah, I mean, Berkeley and Columbia.
Oh.
I mean, you have Jeffrey Sachs at Columbia that, he's
George Bush.
Yeah, I mean, it's I could go on for.
No, but
As you could just go over to Metro over here in Denver, and you're going to see the same stuff on the campus.
No, and I went to Metro. I graduated from Metro.
Yeah, I mean, it is very significantly infiltrated there.
It's what
CU Boulder. It's everywhere.
It's what academia has become, and
yeah, and I think the key thing is one of the things that we're talking with our daughter about, who's going to be going into her senior year, is right now we're on the cusp of new technology with AI, and what we've seen over the last several decades is that we've been indoctrinated to believe that the next step has to be college or university, or you're somehow not filling achievement. Like, that's the myth.
You're not
that's
intelligent.
A myth.
You're not intelligent.
My grandson, who's right now in football camp and strength and conditioning, and he's in the 9th grade, and he's got great grades, and his mom and I are really good friends. She said, "What do you think I should do?" I said, "Tell him to learn to weld."
Yeah. What an incredible skill. My dad was a welder. My dad was a welder when we were young, and he was a backhoe operator for the gas company. I am so excited to see what's going to happen with higher education, because I think it's a house of cards. It's going to crumble. Same with public ed.
Let me check with him. Did you know anybody that had skis when you were a kid?
Me?
Q?
No, I grew up in D.C., man. What do we have skis for? We don't even have a hill.
I grew up in Massachusetts on Podunk Road. There was no skiing in my community.
I didn't know anybody that knew. I didn't even know people that knew how to ski or even talked about skiing.
I learned how to ski in my 20s. I learned how to ski in my 20s. And I love skiing, and I wish I learned when I was younger. But that was one of the wonderful things when we moved here to Colorado, because my husband was Air Force, and we were stationed here, and we were very blessed to get 2 back-to-back tours here and then ultimately retire. But our kids were walking around in ski boots in our backyard at 2 and 4 years old.
I learned to ski when I got sober.
Yeah,
so
and a lot of people do.
Yeah, no,
but if you ever need to give to a charity, maybe you can give to Lyft.
Oh my gosh! Please don't say that.
My son's charitable organization.
No.
Actually,
we shall not. We shall not.
You're great. You're great. It's good to talk to you.
Guys, we need to scale. Like, it's a huge issue. A lot of people think that we're a well-funded organization. I am a volunteer executive director.
Let me see what I can do. I'll help. Let me see what happens.
No, listen, we should talk about that, because I think that from my standpoint, look, I'm an organizational guy, right? So when I talked about IECs and things like that, you can funnel cash into initiatives that create opportunity for, and they have them all the time. They have a bunch of organizations that don't do any good at all that get tens of millions of dollars. So there are ways.
And taxpayer money. Oh, it's unbelievable.
So there's also ability for you to get access.
There are some really great people in the state of Colorado on investigating all the fraud. We've got a few Nick Shirleys here in Colorado that are mind blowing what they're pushing out.
I write a column for a newspaper and I'm throwing it out the window. I have this column halfway written. I'm going to write about you. I'm talking about.
He never writes about me. He just.
You know,
what are you going to write about?
I'm going to write about what you're talking about. I want to sit down and talk to you and your colleagues, and we'll do it over the phone. And I'm going to write a column about you guys. Put your picture in the paper, and
well, that would be really kind, as long as it's nice. Thank you, Peter. That means that.
No, I'm going to do it. I think it
means a lot.
I have one column written. I'm junking it because you guys are more important. But I'll tell you a story. My daughter works for the federal government. She works, and I'm so proud of her. She's come through so much, and she's the best. So when she gets an advanced degree in cybersecurity, like Joe's daughter, and I just met Joe's daughter. She's wonderful. So my daughter's going to work for the city of Denver. This is a true story. And so I said, well, you know, honey, probably the smartest thing you could do is don't tell them I'm your dad. And she said, you know, Dad, she said, I haven't told anybody you're my father since I was 14 years old. So, it's like you live with it. But I'm going to get your phone number and everything. I'll give you a call tomorrow, and
that'd be great.
We'll set up Monday to talk, and we'll put this thing together. I think you're really worthwhile. You're great.
So
thank you so much.
The part that I will say it, and then I'll let you go, is that being well funded means you have to be deliberate in the well funding, right? And so we just got to figure out how to make sure it's deliberate, because parents, they're running away from the school system. So, hey, buy me a cup of coffee every month, and you get enough parents out there, that power in numbers will really take off. And it's not just a Colorado problem. It's a 50-state problem. It's in every community. It's in conservative communities. It's in liberal communities. It's everywhere. It is pervasive, because the Department of Education is run by a bunch of radicals, and the education system, much like the judiciary, is dictated by really bad people that want to put people in positions that can promote this DEI because it makes money. It's a good way to actually create funding for and being able to launder money, basically.
We got a deal.
Thanks, guys. Right. I'm very grateful. You know, our whole focus strategically is that we've got to scale. We've got a wait list of incident reports, and we have a very small team, all volunteer, doing all these investigations, core requests. And I stepped back and praise God for my husband, who's just amazing, Max. Because back in 2021, 2021, I got connected with Dr. Alveda King, and I was just thinking, maybe I'll just open up a parent advocacy group in Cherry Creek, and she's praying over me, and she's like, Lori, I really think you got to do this statewide. There's going to be more people all over the state, or they're going to need this help. And then she's like, and it won't be that much more work. Which, I spent a lot of time in discernment about that, and got to meet some really great people, Pam Benigno over at the Independence Institute, Bill Cadman, really great mentors that really helped me connect with great people here in the state and then nationally. And then we launched CPAN in November of 2022. We're about to come up 3.5 years old, and look at what we've done. We've got another Title IX complaint waiting over there at the Department of Ed against Boulder Valley for sex-based discrimination. We've got the 2 Title VI complaints against Cherry Creek School District. We're launching Project 178, which is a huge research project that we're doing right now. And we're working with great partners. It's super fun because we get phone calls from organizations, like Alliance Defending Freedom, Center for American Liberty. How can we help you? How can we come in and help Colorado? Because we're the state everybody's watching, because we're just so radically crazy. We just want to.
I met those guys in Masterpiece Bakery when I was defending Jack and raising money for Jack. And we did pretty good raising money for Jack. And so, hey, what the heck?
That's great. You know, when a couple years ago, a group in Douglas County hosted an event, and they had a few of us kind of grassroots fighters there. Donna Sweeten hosted it, and Jack actually baked the cake for the celebration. And it was just so nice.
What a guy.
And Lori was one of the women there that was with the website development that had also won over at SCOTUS. And I think that we're going to have another round or several rounds at the Supreme Court of the United States before this is done. It's definitely a long game. I need people to stay hopeful. I need them to stay in it. Aaron and I could have given up 2 years ago with our Protect Kids Colorado board. Kevin Lundberg's on the board, and Patty McKernan, and Mark Spengler and Shannon Thomas. And, we could have just given up because it was hard, and they just pushed us through the coals.
Many times.
Like, people have to, everybody needs to remember, everything that you're doing is moving the needle forward. It's shifting the culture. And look at what we did 2 years later.
I said to Jack when I first went and met Jack, and it's from Shakespeare, and Shakespeare writes, "It's better to light a candle than to curse the darkness." Mm-hmm. Lady, you lit a candle.
Absolutely.
See what happens next.
Shine the light.
What's the worst they can do?
Light.
What's the worst they can do? They've done it.
So figuring that, how do people donate to you?
You can go to coloradoparents.org. That is our website, and we have a donate button there. And things that you're helping to fund it just include all these investigations, all the help that we're providing families across the state through our incident reporting tool, all of the legal work that we're doing. Pat can probably attest that we pretty much handed that case over on a golden platter to America First, and it's a tremendous amount of work. These cases often take somewhere between 4 to 6 months. And sometimes longer, sometimes 18 months, sometimes 24 months. We're still helping families. We're helping 28 families right now navigate the complexities of potentially losing custody of their children for not gender affirming, for families that are.
Have you done many radio shows?
Just a few.
What?
She's done them.
Yeah, I've been on. I'll give a huge shout out to my friend Kim Munson. She was the first person that believed in this mission and brought us onto her radio show. And I remember, gosh, I was just so nervous. I just terrified. So Kim really opened the door, and we've spent time on Jimmy Segenberger's show, the Deborah Flores show, Jeff and Bill, the Ryan Schuling Live. Rich Valdez live.
You got them down. Okay, well, then they come back. I mean, I know those guys.
Yeah, but I haven't been on the Peter Boyles show yet.
Here we go.
So thank you so much. I do really appreciate the opportunity, guys, and just the candid conversation, because this is heavy stuff, and sometimes it can be
parents
really, really
have an obligation to fund it.
Well, listen,
right?
I'll call you in the morning.
Well, thank you. I'm looking forward to it. All right. What about election integrity?
Don't start.
Yeah. I want to.
You're killing me, Smalls.
Yeah.
Here, this comes next.
Lori.
It comes next.
We will have that conversation. I'm going to have you back on, but I do want to say two things before I let you go. One, thank you for helping Patrick. The guy is absolutely a saint. He's amazing. His family's amazing, and the fact that he was willing to stand
kids.
up.
His son is so cute. His wife is just a wonderful person, and what an incredible testament to Pat, because it takes a lot of courage to stand up and do this. But he gives courage to other teachers. He gave courage to the 12 whistleblowers that blew the whistle on Cherry Creek and blew up the district administration that's happening right now. So.
Yeah,
kudos to Pat.
Yeah, he was the first one to dance, as I like to say it. First one to dance.
Yeah, and he was the first one that was so prepared. I mean, all those wonderful pieces of evidence that he brought. So I love Pat.
Yeah, well, he's listening. He can hear you, so thank you.
All right, guys.
Lori, God bless you.
Thank you.
You're the best. Thanks, lady.
All right.
God bless you guys. Have a great one.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye. She's okay.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
You just don't, you can't. So I'm on the outside looking at all this stuff and the stuff that's getting done, and I've obviously had Aaron on several times, but Lori she gets it, and she's had to put up with a lot of people. When she talked about the fact that people take credit, the hard part about other people taking credit for the work that she did is that it costs them the ability to have the funding that's necessary. So it's purposeful. It's purposeful interference with the work that Lori's done. So then people get upset. They're like, oh, well, Lori wants to control this. No, Lori wants to make sure that it's well funded, it's well documented, you have the right volunteers. She's the one that brings kind of these things together. And when she helped Patrick, she did so with zero. It was like this. Patrick's like, I need help. She's like, here's what we're going to talk to you. Here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to handle it. Get over here, sit down. Let's write all this stuff down. She went through step by step, and you have a guy that's been in higher education been in education for over 17 years, and you got Lori, who frankly has never seen a fight she didn't like, and I think you'll find when she speaks of, look, she wants to love everyone, but this is a fight, and she's not afraid of the fight.
That's who you are.
Yeah.
I mean, my
recognized warriors.
Well, my father used to say that about me and my brothers. He said, two dogs are fighting.
Yeah.
He said, there's a dog walking down the street. He said, it doesn't sit down and watch, it jumps in.
Right.
He said, that's you guys.
Yeah.
So, no, of course.
We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk to Peter. We're going to spend a little more time with Peter because, frankly, it'll probably take a half hour. I want to talk about what happens when you have conflict directly related to something as polarizing as elections, and what happens in media. I'm going to use Peter's own words against him today, so it's going to be fun.
What did I say?
But, I don't know. I can't tell you yet. But we're going to take a commercial break.
I'm getting text messaging about
we'll be
this.
Right back.
Oh, hi. I almost didn't see you there. Welcome to DCF Buns, where you can find the freshest buns in town, if I do say so myself. Our master bakers teach class every week. So whether you're new to baking or trying to improve your culinary skills, we got you covered. And we can help you bake the cake of your dreams. We'll even clean your cake if you want. And if you don't want to bake anything yourself, we have loads of fresh buns available in a variety of shapes and sizes. Check us out at dcfbuns.com to learn more. DCF Buns, we keep the buns hot and the deals hotter. Buns.
In every thread, in every stitch, Honor-Bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, it's a testament to God, family, and country. At Honor-Bound USA, we're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act. As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage. We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honor-Bound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle.
You say disparate impact is destroying America. Most people don't even know what it is.
Disparate impact is the conceit that if there's a standard that blacks do more poorly at, it's discriminatory. I'll give you an example right out of the Biden administration.
Maryland State Police hoping to settle a U.S. Justice Department investigation into its alleged racial discrimination by paying almost $3 million.
The Maryland State Police wanted to make sure that the state troopers could read at a very basic level, because as a police officer, you're going to need to write police reports. Black applicants failed the test at higher rates than whites. The Maryland state troopers didn't intend to exclude black state troopers. Racism had nothing to do with it. It was a colorblind, neutral test of skills. But because it had a disparate impact on black applicants and disqualified more black applicants, the Biden Justice Department brought a suit against the Maryland State Police for having a discriminatory test.
Hiring tests that unfairly and unlawfully excluded them from employment.
This is ridiculous. Taxpayers should not be on the hook for this. It was not a racist department. Disparate impact means that an institution can be completely colorblind. It can want to have as many different races as possible. But if it has a standard that it's colorblind, meritocratic, but that blacks do poorly on, you got to throw out the standard. And it's not just sort of public service jobs like policing. Our taxpayers in New York recently paid out $2 billion in damages because the exam for licensing teachers in New York State, which I can tell you went through decades of being dumbed down to proleptically avoid disparate impact. Blacks still didn't do as well on it. Disparate impact is our greatest weapon against merit. It is the greatest weapon against excellence, and it is an abuse of the spirit of our civil rights laws, which was to say, we're going to allow everybody to reach their highest potential. We ban discrimination, but we do not ban excellence. We do not ban high expectations. We want all people to reach the same level of competence. We are going to have a single level of excellence in this society, and that is how we're going to move forward.
Heather McDonald shares more uncomfortable truths about race, crime, and the difference between men and women in our full interview at johnstossel.com.
As we come back and bring Peter back in, I want to point something out. They're trying to make something academic that is not academic. She said, let's ban racism. Well, we did. It already happened. And by the way, you couldn't have gotten to the place where we got rid of segregation without white people. And you couldn't have gotten rid of slavery without white people and the blood of white people. You couldn't have done it. Let's be perfectly honest about all the things that have happened. There was a group of people, kind of like there is now, that tried to create rules, kind of like there is now, that dictated that we're gonna allow this to happen. And then there was this plight of humanity. And my generation thought we got rid of racism. We're like, we had Vanilla Ice. We had Ice Cube. We don't own P. Diddy, just so you know, he's off the reservation. But we had it. We had Tupac. We were the generation, man. We are the generation of excellence. My generation. That's the generation that thought we got rid of racism, and then all of a sudden that came behind it were these faithless atheist pieces of garbage that want to create real problems for us in our society. And it's not a U.S. problem. You need to understand, this idea that they've created is not a U.S. problem. This playing on your emotions and your empathy and making you feel guilty, this white guilt, it's global. And it's by the same group of people that basically have tried to steal the ethos and the soul of not just the United States, but nations around the world. It's crazy. It is crazy. So we're gonna talk a little bit more about what is going on later. I'm gonna probably bring Lori back on again at some point. Yeah, so Diamond Clarity says racism is growing because those who control the media, including social media, are pushing it at the levels TV, film, and newspapers never could. Truth. And they're doing it with lies. They're liars. And when you call them and by the way, it's always the radical leftists. It's always the I'm gonna say it, the liberal white woman. It's like the worst. That's gotta be the most retarded, brain dead, low IQ, think they're smart individual ever. It's like role playing like Somalis. I actually think that liberal white women are just undercover albino Somali women. I do. I think that's true. Sorry, Peter. I had to bring us there. We got a bunch of Somali white women walking around.
I just don't think it's that simple. I think it's incredibly complex, and it's
no.
Oh, come on!
Nothing is that complex.
It is. Most things are. Most things are infinitely more complex than.
You mean like our election systems that count votes?
No, you want to do that, we can do that.
No.
You want to do the other thing?
I don't want to talk about elections right now.
Mr. Lincoln's war aim was to keep the country together.
Yeah.
And if you look at all the issues and everything, I mean, and again, the aftermath and what went on, and I mean, it just isn't that complex. I mean, excuse me, it isn't that simple. It's extremely complex. And but what people are, we talked about in the last segment of your show, it's been so misused where it could be undone, but these people have a different target in mind than equality. Equality is not their issue. Their issue is, I believe their issue is to bring the country into a New York City environment that is, the government will, can, and always will solve all issues. And you know, Karl Marx was, in spite of what people think, Karl Marx was a brilliant man. He was a historian. He's the first historian to put a locomotive on history, how history is drawn into tomorrow, and he's right. But he thought it would happen naturally until the Bolsheviks and the Mensheviks. I mean, I don't want to do that today, and you don't want to do that today, but all of these things are part of a transitory world, and colonialism plays out in it. World War II was an unbelievable event that happened when I'm a little boy, when I'm an infant. But in my father's generation and your father's generation was really significant stuff. So we're still living in a giant shadow of all kinds of different things, and these senseless wars that go on and the United States gets involved in, and we lose national treasure, we lose image. I know you've traveled the world probably more than I have, and you
65 countries.
Yeah, I've been in the Middle East 7 times. And,
I've been there a lot.
Well, you know that they didn't come here. We showed up on their doorstep.
Well, I mean, look, I believe that, you know, there are some complexities to what we have to look at, especially when it comes to culture.
Yeah.
But I think we walk past culture, and this is really, you know, I was talking to you on the phone, and I said, you know, I was going to do this huge video about you specifically and our relationship, and going all the way back to 2020, and that the media and the sources out there get to dictate and create an image for people unfairly, and they get to create what the outcome is, what people think, and it cost us 5 years. It cost us 5 years of.
But the point I'm trying to make is, we ain't what we once were.
No,
this isn't Walter Cronkite and the Gray Lady in New York.
The ethical generation of media.
It's been so diminished by technology and by people being awake to say, listen, this is. But now media's become tribal. Your tribe may be CNN. My tribe is Fox. No, I'm not talking about your tribe. I'm talking about.
No one ever.
But you think they are?
CNN.
No, I'm not talking about you. I'm saying their media is tribal. CNN's over here.
CIA and then.
Well, indeed. I mean, whatever you may think of it, and you know, and I find myself doing it, and I recommend people doing it. Read English Al Jazeera. Go to some other way out of the country.
That was my thing.
Yeah.
Al Jazeera was my thing.
Me and you.
Yeah, Al Jazeera. Now it's, you know, I watch, you know, the Russia Today, the RT.com. And you say, well, why would you do that? And I was like, well, it's actually honest. It's an honest
Al
translation.
Jazeera's honest. I mean, I you say that to somebody and they come out of their chairs, but it's true. And it's far more honest than CNN.
Yeah, it's more honest, but there is that tilt
of
being able to take advantage. The one thing I say about RT, and people are like, oh, you're RT, is that RT doesn't have a bone. They don't care.
No, they don't.
If you were to ask them if they cared, if you liked them or didn't like them, they would literally be like, yeah, we just don't care.
But read the some complexities of what happened in the aftermath of Fox calling Arizona that night and what happened to Fox News' numbers and what Rupert Murdoch decided to do in OEN and Newsmax. And I know the founder of Newsmax, Christopher Ruddy, and what happened here and all these different things. And it is this divisive. And when's the last time you watched local news?
Me?
Yeah.
I won't.
Oh, I don't. It isn't I won't. I just don't. There's nothing in it. There's nothing in it for me.
Well, there's nothing in most of it.
That's what I'm saying.
And when you start looking, like Chris was good until he wasn't. Chris Ruddy was great until he wasn't.
Well,
I mean, OAN, I think that is probably the most closest and real as you're going to get.
Yeah, but my point is, we're talking about local first. It's a story, but I had a young intern about 7 years ago, and they brought the newspapers in. I made him come in early. He had, like, I don't know, USA Today and I don't know, the Wall Street Journal and everybody. And he came in, he dropped the news on my desk. He said, "Hey, boss, yesterday's news just got here." And now the Denver Post survives principally because of sports. That's all.
Well, I don't think, I mean, the Denver Post is a subsidized, it's not profitable.
Well, they say it is, but, you know, do what you want to do. But my point is, the only reason people get it, by and large, is sports.
Yeah.
And they have, if you look at their news and compare it to the thickness of sports, sports is like 3 times bigger. Why? Because they're sports geeks and want to read the box scores, and they want to, in the morning coffee, read the columns, and, you know, And a good friend of mine got fired yesterday, and I found out about it. Scott Hastings got fired by the Nuggets.
What?
Yeah, Scotty got let go.
Why?
I got a phone call into him. I think the Nuggets have lost their mojo, but listen, I shouldn't be talking about sports, but
they went to the second round.
There's a dear friend of mine, Scott Hastings, that after all of these years got let go. It's radio. I mean, it's what it is, and so we know what we're doing. And they don't have a clue. That losing Scotty was the stupidest thing that those people could have done.
Well, and you've been a part of radio since Moby Dick was a minnow.
I said I used to board out Marconi. I cleared his calls. He took a call. You're on the air with Chris. I mean, I backed into the business. I never. I know guys that started out, they wanted to be disc jockeys, and they were. In high school, guys like Charlie Martin, Hal Moore. I'll give you a list of guys. My mentor is a guy named Bob Lee. He was a radio actor in Detroit in the late 40s and 50s. Knew what he wanted to do. I backed into it. I was going to Metro, the only place would let me in. And a guy that I was going to school with said, and I'm working in a warehouse, I had the GI Bill. And guy comes to me and he said, "You know, there's a job at the auto club being the writer for the traffic reporter." I said, "Really?" And I had hair down to here like everybody and John Lennon glasses and a beard. He said, "Yeah," he said, they need a guy to get there in the morning, get there in the afternoon, and write down cars, count cars." And I didn't say count cars. I came up with that. So I go in and I meet Dan Hopkins, who retired as Bill Owens' his press secretary. It's his final job. And I meet Danny, and we clicked. It's like knowing you for the first time. It's like there. And he said, "Anything you need to do is cut your hair." And he tells a different version of the story, but I took a pair of scissors and went like this and cut my hair and threw them in a trash can. He said, "Start tomorrow morning." And they had all these big balls announcer people that, you know, eastbound I-70, that guy. And I'm going, I didn't realize that there was airplanes up there. Dick Dillon flew one, Bob Martin flew one, and the guys at KOA that come up with it, they flew a twin. And they're up there, and I went, Jesus, there's airplanes up there doing traffic reports. And so Danny and I went down to a junkyard on Santa Fe. This is my evil ideas. I was out of a Mercury, push button radio out of a Mercury. I didn't know about formats, timing, but I knew, Joe, that these guys, one guy did one at 5 after, or 4 after, whatever, and I timed and put the buttons in, and I'm stealing their traffic reports. These guys think I'm a genius, and I'm going like, if Dick said it, if Bob said it, and I'd write them down, and I'd hand them the report to the on-air guy. And the on-air guy, you know, and they kept losing on-air guys. So finally they come up with a guy, I won't use his name. And by this time, I get myself into grad school. And I need the money. My dad's passed away. My daughter's on the way. And everybody knows that moment where you're going to find out who you are.
Right.
And so this guy didn't come to work. And I went on the air the morning my daughter was born. It's when I call her Lucky. And this guy shows up later. And so they were afraid of him. He was bigger than you. And he'd been an AFARTS jock for the military, and he had a short temper, bad fuse, and they were afraid of him. I said, I'll make you a deal. And I said, I can do both jobs. I can be the on-air guy, because I was going on air, and I can write the traffic reports down. And they were paying him like $12 an hour. They were paying me like $3.20 an hour. And I said, I'll do both jobs for $9 an hour. And they went, what else? And I said, I'll fire him. And they said, okay. And so he and I went down to a little lake where there's sailboats and stuff, and smoked a joint.
That's like $1,200. That's like $1,200 a month.
Oh yeah, it was jack shit. I mean, it was like, but remember, you know, like I'm broke. What am I going to do, right? I mean, I'm in school. I had a scholarship.
I mean, look. By the way, $1,200 went a little further because your rent was like $100 a month.
I bought a house on a GI Bill. I bought my first house, 1335 South Hudson Street. I think it was $21,000. My dad paid $12,000 for his house. I'm thinking like, and they just had, you know, you didn't have any down payment, and they took care of GIs. And so, and I'm in grad school on a partial scholarship, and I'm doing great. And so I fired this guy, and he put up a stink, and I said, look, the cops are back there, and they're waiting. And of course that was a lie. And Monday morning, I'm the traffic reporter. And so I'm going along doing traffic, and then I started doing recreation reports, and I'm falling in love with the business. And a guy named Jack Merker at Cat Radio, Big Cat of the Rockies, he calls me up, and he talks me off air, and he goes, you know, he said, you're funny, you're quick, you're fast. He said, I'm looking for a weekend disc jockey. And I said, I needed money. I didn't think. And I went down, first radio station I walked in. I've been in radio like 5 years by then, but I've never been in a station. Like this place is, this is Oz, man, what you got here. And I walk in, and the boards were big, and they had big tubes back then. It was all before, and it looked like Star Wars, and all this stuff's going on. And he said, you know, sit on, and I watch them, and I don't know what's going on, and we da-da-da-da, and I came back, watched him again, and then we had about an hour left, 2 hours left in the shift. He said, change seats. And I'm queuing records, and they had 4 turntables and cart machines and all this kind of stuff. And there was about 20 minutes left in the shift, and he said, do radio. And he got walked out. And I did probably the worst 20 minutes of Denver radio's ever heard. So he ended, and so he comes in, he said, that wasn't bad. So the Playboy Club was upstairs. It says in the nightmare years. And
nightmare years meaning
I'm drinking, I'm doping, I'm
the nightmare years. Okay, I get it.
And I'm broke. And
you're broke and doing every bad habit you shouldn't be doing.
If it cost a nickel to get out, I'd have to re-enlist. I mean, I was like really broke. So the Playboy Club had open arms to disc jockeys and all this stuff. We went up, and Jack hit the buzzer, and they entered the door, and now we're drinking free at the bar. And I'm going, this can't be that wrong. And he said, I'll give you a job. And he said, but you need to come back, and you start to come back at night and play radio, and they're called skimmer tapes, and you've never been a jock. I mean, you've done wonderful with this, but jocking. Yeah. And back then, top 40 disc jockeys, we were still at the end of it, and it was important. The skimmer tapes only recorded when the mic switch was on.
Okay.
Oh, they were brutal. They could brutalize you in a skimmer. So I'm sitting there, and I've never told the story public, and I thought, what the hell? I'm sitting there by myself on a Friday night looking out the window, and I'm playing Sinatra, and it was in the middle of the road show. And I hear a voice, and the voice says, where you been? It's a woman's voice. We've been waiting for you. And 3 weeks later, I quit grad school and took a full-time job in radio. And I just had breakfast with a guy. 51 years ago, we were in grad school together. I haven't seen him in 51 years. And he said, you are our most famous non-graduate. and oh, you would have thought I ran over the neighbor's dog when I quit school. And I quit and I went full-time in radio, and I got fired on Christmas Eve, which should have told me something. They said, John wants to see you getting off the air. And I said, bonus, Christmas bonus, you know. Here. And I turned my back on the Christmas bonus. We all got fired. And
you all got fired?
Everybody got fired. Because they were going all religion, and religion radio was tapes. And we got fired. We were a jock station and got fired. So I'm taking about 2 steps out the door, and now it's about noon on Christmas Eve. And he turns around and he said, hey. And I turned back around and he said, you want to work tomorrow morning and run music tapes? And I said, yes, because I needed money. And I came back in and ran tapes till 4 o'clock from 6 before that. Probably 6 a.m. to 4 a.m. I ran tapes. I needed money. And like we've talked about, you and I have talked about, it's one of the things we meet on is, hey, you'll be amazed what you eat when you're hungry.
You'd be amazed. That is the most true statement you can ever say.
Absolutely.
And when you're in a place of desperation,
desperate times. So then I meet real quick, and I'm doing travel and recreation reports on KOA radio in the morning with my mentor, the late great Bob Lee. And we're clicking and we're laughing and scratching. And a guy named Bob Prangley had been the sales manager at KOA. McCoy Broadcasting owned KLAK. They hired Prangley to come over to GM the whole job. Prangley hired Bob, brought me in, first hit show. Joe, we went from 23rd in the market to 3rd in the market in 6 months. Money's coming down out of everywhere. And the first thing
sounds like me when I'm on your show.
Absolutely. Nothing but heartache. But first hit show, first time I knew, and I went out to Stevenson Chevrolet in a pair of cutoffs and a baseball hat, and I wanted to buy a new Corvette. That was my dream ever since I was a little kid, of a Corvette. And I walked around that showroom floor for 40 minutes. I told Stevenson this story. I said, nobody would talk to me. And finally, this old timer come, I said, I said, I want to buy that Corvette. And the guy said, and I'm driving this green leaky Volkswagen. I'm driving to grad school, right? Now I'm Joe.
You're money bags.
Oh, I think I am, but that's all it took. And sat down, inked out the vet, and the guys and others people looking in the window. I'm going like this at them, and the next day I picked up the Corvette, and I never looked back.
And you've been driving Corvettes ever since.
No, I've got a Cadillac out there.
Hey, Corvette, Cadillac.
You know what? A quick sidebar story, because I just told this to my brother. First car I could afford was a 1954 Ford four-door. It was a Fairlane, I think. It had no handbrake. I carried a concrete block in the back seat, so when I got out of the car, I'd put the block behind the tire as the handbrake.
Yeah.
It leaked oil. It leaked. Radiator leaked. I was more proud of buying that Ford than I was getting that Cadillac from John Medved. True story. That's how we were kids. And so
I remember the feeling, the sentiment.
Yeah.
Like I had
yeah. And my kids won't know that, and that's good that they don't know it, but they don't know it. And then anyhow, so I'm alcoholic. I've been sober for 40 years, but Bobby and we had a bunch of, there was so many different problems. And a guy named Mike Wolf, old legendary Denver radio guy, calls me up. And he had KWBZ, he was going to GM it. A guy named John, there was John Med, God, I kept coming up with the names of these guys. But he said, you want to do mornings and talk radio? And he said, you ever done talk radio? I said, no. He said, you want to do it? I said, of course I do. And once again, push all the chips in. You and I have talked about that.
Yeah.
Push all the chips in, and I went to work. John Mullins Broadcasting, his father started Channel 9. And I went to work doing talk radio and had no idea what I was doing, but pulled it off. And I'd had an incident when I was working at KLAK. You Call Time on the show. And when I was working at Cat Radio, and I started producing shows for people, and there was a show called the Hellenic Hour, all in Greek. I had no idea what I'm doing. I knew the word discos. They told me that meant record.
Yeah.
And so the Turks invade Cyprus. And so they bring in this guy, Dr. Krikos. Dr. Krikos is going to an editorial. He does it all in Greek. What do I know? So the next morning I come into work. That was on a Sunday show. And there's 3 guys sitting in the lobby. They got like screwdriver, for teeth. And I'm like, come here. And I come in, they sit me down. These are bosses. And what you do yesterday? Of course, it's your fault. And I said, did a radio show. And they said, those are Turks. This guy in Greek said some very bad things about Turkish people. And they wanted equal time on the Greek show. And it was Orthodox Easter was the next Sunday. Anyhow, so I said, no, I said, give them to me. I said, I'll put them on the radio show. And me being a grad school guy. And so me and the Turks have a 2-hour conversation, no music, just, talking like you and I. And they got up and they were satisfied and they walked on. I said, shit, this business has power. I didn't realize it. And the rest is history. I went to talk, met Berg, and
Alan Berg.
Yeah, we went on from there.
So that's a show for another day.
Yeah.
We get 2 hours only, or they won't run it on Roku.
Okay.
So we're up against a window here.
You call it.
But I want to do another sit down show with you and talk about Alan Berg.
Oh, sure.
Who was your best friend.
Oh.
And the radio business killed him. In other words,
it was a radio murder. Yeah.
It was a murder of a man that
you'd have liked him. I mean, his on-air guy was the on-air guy, but the off-air guy, you'd have liked him. You'd have liked him. Yeah.
So is there an on-air Joe and an off-air Joe, or do you just kind of like both of them? You're like this.
No, I learned this from Bob Palmer, late Bob Palmer. I don't know if you were in town was when Bob Palmer was here. The same guy that would come over, we were all in KOA together, and he would come over and sit and talk to me. That was the same guy that did the news.
Yeah.
And no, you're the same guy. I mean, your language is a lot cleaner, but you're the same guy.
Well, I mean, look, I'll be the first one to tell you that I'm a warrior. I think everybody knows that about me. But I believe that your generation of truthful radio, I mean, I came in to sit down with you.
Yeah.
And they didn't want me to, they certainly didn't want me talking about.
No, I didn't care. I don't care. What I'm looking for is good radio.
Okay, but here, check this out. Salem just sold.
Yes.
I'm good for ratings.
No, I think that deal had been in the works for a year.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, they don't share it with me, but
yeah. No, I'm very aware of that. But I want to have a conversation with you about history, but I also want to have a conversation with you about there's been some stuff that you've done in Denver that have cost you dearly for standing up for what's right.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that we
talked about it yesterday.
Yeah. Huh. Is that sometimes what's right is not very popular, and what's popular is not very right. And so you have to be able to measure against that and decide that you're willing to talk about the things that need to be discussed.
In this business, it depends on your boss.
Yeah.
And I was lucky to have Lee Larson, who I can't tell you what an incredible man. And Lee used to say, "Are you right?"
Yeah.
And I'd say, "Yeah, boss." And he's go, "All right, but and don't let me down, and don't disappoint me."
Yeah.
And we had some great moments. The best one, and it was with me and Tancredo, and
I saw him a couple weeks ago. By the way,
I love him.
Good dude.
The best. And Tancredo. Remember, Roy Romer had a girlfriend named B.J. Thornberry, greatest name in politics, and that was his sweetheart. And Patty Calhoun at Westward and I did Roy's Got a Girlfriend. Oh well, nobody. Oh no. So anyhow, so Tom tells the story better than I do. Tom's sitting on the air on KOA filling in for Rosen. He's talking about Roy and his girlfriend, Larson. Because this is actionable. And he's beating on the window going, because Lee knew the number one job in our business is protect the license. And he comes in, Tom wasn't real sure, but now he's scared. He calls me. I said, we're going to be okay, Tom. It's going to be okay. And that was the next morning. I think it was the Washington Post or the Enquirer. They had pictures of Roy smooching her in the airport parking lot. And so I go on the air in a morning show. I'm going, ta-da. And he's at home, and it's like that scene out of Goodfellas when Michael hears that they robbed Lufthansa and he's beating on the wall. You did it, you did it. And he's waking up, and he says, he wakes up the old lady and says, Jackie, we don't have to move. And if you know Tommy, God, what a good guy. I mean, he is.
All right. Well, there's another thing that I want to talk to you about in our next on air. I wanted you here with Lori for a couple reasons. One of which is I think she'd be great for you to talk about what they're doing to children. But you know, you and I have talked about something that's happening in your life. So I end every show with a prayer. I'm gonna be praying over you now, and but I think that the audience really doesn't. The people in Denver know, but you have people all over the country that are listening. Just the iconic nature of you in radio, and there's something that's supposed to happen. Can you talk about that or no?
It's supposed to happen in terms of
in August. Should we not talk about that yet?
Well,
I'm
having a difficult moment with it. It's my dearest friend, my best friend in this business was Alan Berg.
Yeah.
And there's a tribute coming that I won't accept unless they take.
It's one of the biggest tributes.
But let's see what they do with my friend. And
but what is that tribute? Seriously.
Yeah. You know, it's like, but you know, we fought to get him into the press club. He's finally in the Press Club Hall of Fame. We had to fight for it. Look, here's a guy. We have Omar Jah, Dick Connor, Daddy Bruce Randolph, Martin Luther King, all these streets. If there is such a thing as a hate crime, Berg was murdered.
Yeah, for his voice.
Joe, there's not, I don't know my words you could use, but there's not a marker, there's not a plaque, there's not anything to this man's life. And of course.
And he shook the industry. He reshaped it. He reshaped it.
I mean, I'm more and more driven into it now than perhaps. And, you know, my son and daughter talk about how it impacted their lives when he was murdered. And he was assassinated. He wasn't murdered. He was assassinated. And a movie came out called The Order. It's on HBO now, or it's on Netflix or something. And no, it was a radio story.
Yeah.
I mean, I started it, and you know, and I think back on that you got a second for the story, or let it go and we'll wait till the next time?
I think we're gonna do it next time because I want a full story.
Okay.
And we're up against that deal.
You say.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want everybody to understand that Peter was mad at me for a long time, by the way.
You were mad at me.
I was mad at him too. But we got to this place of reconciliation, which is really what this is.
Can I tell folks what happened?
Yeah. I was right. I did. I gave him the short version. My call screener on a Saturday morning says, Oltmann's on the line. I said, bring him on. I don't dodge anybody, you know, like. And we get into some things, and some things were said, and I said, no, wait a minute, whoa, back up, and we backed up a bit. And I said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I said, come on in the studio. And nobody ever did that with you. Everybody's like, they're afraid of me.
Fear. And
but they are afraid of me. I mean,
of course, there's no argument, you know. And I had to make a case, and you were running for governor or something. I said, the guy's a candidate, so they had to bend over. And it
was a great show.
It was a great show.
And we had hundreds of thousands of people listen.
Well, we did, and better yet, now here's the icing on the cake. Show's over, we go to lunch. And we sit and lunch for 2.5 hours, and we talk about motorcycles, and we talk about all kinds of stuff. I don't know he's a biker, and then I said I wanted to head him back, and they black flag. You're not having him back, and
they black flagged me while I was there.
Yeah, they were pissed that you were there, but
they're like, cut it quick, cut it.
But I never listened to anybody anyhow. Anyhow, so then we ended up, and then we've been together socially a couple of times, and I don't know. He's who he is, but he isn't. One thing is, and I've had to defend, and when people say stuff, and I go, no, you misunderstand. I said, that's not that guy. And I'm going through it. I write for Easy Riders magazine, which is the outlaw biker mag. And one of my dear friends at Easy Riders is going through the same thing. And I'm going like, and I said, come on. I said, Oltmann uses verbiage that I don't know if I would agree with, but I know his intent is different than how what you're saying.
Right. And well, they create something out of nothing.
But he's pretty ham-handed. He's not, hey.
I'm a warrior, brother. Warriors do this. They smell the dirt, right? And they get to the place where they save the people that need to be saved. They defend people, and yeah.
Believe me. And when we finally had our moment with Victor Marks, and he was whole martial arts career and all that stuff, I said, come on.
7th degree black belt. But you have to admit, Peter, everyone cannot, every time I turn around, there's another article, they cannot get my name out of their mouth. No. It's unbelievable. Like I heard Jeff Hunt talking about me the other day. If there's a demise of if there's going to be a demise of Victor Marks, it's all Joe Oltmann's fault. And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell's wrong with you people? Why can't you tell it it's Peter's problem? Peter, it's your fault.
Other radio stations use me. My own won't. But I'm an old man. I'm 82 years old. I mean, I'll be 83 in October.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, and this is, believe me when I tell you this, and we'll come back and we'll do another show about the business and whatever, but you're looking at the luckiest guy that ever lived. End of story. And
I don't believe in luck. I believe that God saved the best for last, and he's been working on your heart. And I believe that he gave you these gifts, and he gave you these experiences, and he gave you the ability to have both a sharp mind and a sharp tongue for a reason, because it affected people's lives. And I remember going back to the John Benet Ramsey, which we're going to talk about on the next show, that there was no one more committed to the truth in that than you were.
Or more hated.
But you were hated for it the same way that I was hated for elections, because you became institutionally an expert in things that went on about John Benet. I became an expert institutionally in what happened with election systems and how those systems operated. And because the truth was so pronounced, it cost you, but you weren't willing to give up the sword.
What are they going to do to you?
Yeah, but that's the problem. So now you know why I say what I say.
What do they do to you?
Right?
What's the worst thing they can do?
Yeah, take away your birthday, you start eating you, get a knife and a fork out, then you got to worry.
My friend Uncle Jim says, what are they going to do? Shave your head and send you to Okinawa?
Okinawa's pretty nice these days. So
but the point of it is, look, this is a business, and if you have the right boss and the right place and the right time, and the ratings are up and the money's coming in, they're going to leave you alone.
Except for your name's Joe Oltmann, and the rules have changed. All right, hey, listen, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, tune in to more. You go to Roku now. Go ahead and give us a thumbs up if you're on Rumble. And remember that, we'll put a lot of commercials in here. We will have a couple sponsors. We're still working out the details of that. But this IEC, the stuff that we're working on right now in order to get things across the finish line, I may be in your living room more than you think. We're negotiating on some other deals right now that'll put us on more radio stations across the country too. So got some exciting stuff that's going to be going on. Peter Boyles, one of the icons in the radio industry, not just in Denver, but around the world, around the country. And I will tell you that it is my pleasure to be both your friend and to have you on the show.
I have gained from you.
Yeah. And we are brothers from another mother.
You know, when I tell people this guy's my friend, it's like guys get up and leave the room.
Let him.
You know, hey,
Let
they weren't your friend anyhow.
Listen, at the end of the day, yesterday somebody bought me breakfast. I was sitting at a restaurant and they're like, they walked up and they shook my hand and said, Mr. Oltmann. And I was like, I haven't been called that yet, but okay. I've been called a lot of other things. And they go, my husband and I want to buy your meal. We went ahead and took care of it and shook my hand and said, you have given us both courage and hope, and we thank you for both of them. And so I get those all the time. I'm in airports, I'm in other places, and people walk up and say it to me. Sometimes I need it. Sometimes I need that encouragement for the things that I've done.
Quick Berg story, we'll fill it up.
Yeah.
There used to be a place called the Tally Ho, was on Wadsworth and Alameda, a guy named Joel Barron, another guy from Chicago, loved Berg, and he invited us out for dinner. So we're having dinner. He's got Linda McVeigh with him. I got whoever I got. I'm still drinking. And I see this woman coming out of the bar. And she's got her head down, and she's coming for Berg. And he's not a scrapper. And I'm thinking, and right behind her comes her husband. And he's big. And I thought, so I'm drinking wine. I got wine in the ice bar. I put my hand around the neck, and I think, if we have to, we have to. And a guy gets right up to the table, and he starts up, and Berg looks at the guy and says, sir, like he said, what do you do for a living? And I'm watching all this, and the guy said, he was like a block foreman or something. He said, all right, you come to my house on Saturday morning and lay brick, and I'll talk to your wife. And I can see the guy's wheels going like this. He takes the old lady back in the bar. I look at him like guys that could whistle down dogs. I said, how did you do that? Never mind. And that was one of them, you know, like he just had this, people came after us, but we knew it, but we didn't know it. We didn't know
well, now you know why people come after me. The same, different generation, different time, same station.
They won't come up and confront you.
Oh, I've only had one person come up and confront me. Two, actually. One in a restaurant. I threw him across the table. And the second one was in the airport. Guy walked up, got in my face, and I basically knocked him back on his butt. He said he was going to get me arrested. He ended up getting arrested. So that's it. Other than that, people look at me and they're like, he's a big boy. And he looks like he knows how to use that muscle. So I don't know if I want to mess with him.
Hey, you crack the whip. I'll make the trip. I'll come back.
All right.
This is wonderful.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, I get to pray us out. So this is how we finish it. Remember, again, do all that stuff I told you to do. You're the ambassadors of truth. So you're the ones that share it. Go support Lori. And we look forward to the next time that me and Peter can get together and have a great conversation about just all of it. So here we go. Father God, thank you for Peter. Thank you for Lori. Thank you for the heart. Thank you for the commitment. Thank you for the things that they have done to make other people's lives better and to be an encouragement and to be that beacon of hope or that example that is needed to be followed. Father, we are grateful for you being on the hearts of Peter and for just walking him through just a blessed life and giving him the experiences that he has. And now just coming to him and saying, listen, this life that you've had has been amazing. And now you get to have that relationship with him. And I pray, Father, that you reach into his heart and you're able to have that one-on-one relationship with Peter. So, Father, we ask you to bless the people that are listening, give them the strength to carry forward and to stay fixated on the light, stay fixated on restoration, restoring you to our community and to our country. We ask this thing almost every day, Father. We ask that this be the thing that we can chase and that this be the mission that we have in society to get rid of the evil that we face and to really replace it with a restoration that allows for our children and our grandchildren and our children's children and other generations we'll never know to be able to thrive in the same sort of peace and prosperity that we've had in this country for nearly 250 years. So, Father, we're grateful for this time and to say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. I will see you guys tomorrow. And we have David Wilson on tomorrow. It's going to be a great show. And he is going to be the next Attorney General of the state of Colorado. God bless you all. Remember, take care of each other, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Rise up untamed. In the heart of the fight where the wild ones roam, Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the night. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. No more games, time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew. Truth matters through and through. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Tame nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Truth forever. True forever.